Over the past few years, we have definitely had some ups and downs with Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters 2016 was truly an awful film, but then they kind of redeemed themselves with Ghostbusters Afterlife and really honing in on what made the franchise so amazing and respecting the legacies of their previous characters and actors. But now, of course, that the Ghostbusters Afterlife sequel, Frozen Empire, has been announced, there are people online who are furious that they have completely forgotten about Ghostbusters 2016 and that they refuse to make a sequel for it. I have a few different things that I want to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, follow me on social media, and consider supporting through Patreon or via YouTube memberships. Now, I wanted to start off with referencing this tweet from Master of the TDS on Twitter/X. He said Sony Pictures has revealed the first trailer for the sequel to Ghostbusters Afterlife, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. I personally think that this trailer looks really good. The only problems I have are Patton Oswalt being in it. I think that if he has too much screen time, he is going to not necessarily ruin the movie, but definitely damage it. I do not like him. I do not like his brand of comedy either, but I'm really happy with what I have seen. All of the original Ghostbusters are there, except for, of course, Egon Spengler, because he is passed, but it's carrying on his legacy because his daughter and, of course, her children are carrying on with being Ghostbusters. And of course, Paul Rudd is in it, and he was pretty funny. I think that this movie is going to be good. I am very excited for it because I really enjoyed Ghostbusters Afterlife. I thought that it was a fun, wholesome experience. They got back to the roots of what made Ghostbusters so special, but of course, because they are not continuing on the extremely woke Ghostbusters 2016, there are people that are furious at Sony. It says many people had various reactions to the trailer, ranging from excitement to bemoaning the fact that they are going back to the kids rather than just doing a Ghostbusters movie with adults. I personally think that this mix is pretty good. We've got two new adults, of course, the mom and boyfriend, and then we have the two children. I think that that is a pretty good mixture. I'm not mad at it, but when Ghostbusters gets brought up, who's it gonna call? That's right, the Twitter/X weirdos are back to scream about Ghostbusters 2016 not getting a sequel, screaming about Sony catering to man babies, saying Ghostbusters 2016 was better than any other Ghostbusters movies, and even claiming a sequel to it would make $1 billion after the success of Barbie, which is just so hilarious because they are trying so hard to go on social media, convince the company to make another follow-up. It's just not going to happen, and I have to say I am so glad that they are going in the direction of Afterlife and Frozen Empire and that they've left Ghostbusters 2016 in the dust. But these people are furious, coming up with all of the insults they can. I'm never gonna forgive people for telling me Afterlife was a good movie. That was genuinely one of the worst movies I've ever seen, but they like Ghostbusters 2016. Sorry, I don't think that I could ever trust your take on entertainment. Man, I'm no Ghostbusters fan besides 2016, but this shit looks nonsensical and bland. These people are fake Ghostbusters fans. They do not know Ghostbusters. They've even admitted that they haven't either enjoyed the other movies or seen the other movies. This is the problem. And it's unfortunate that companies a lot of the times do listen to these people because they are so loud with their opinions. Even though they're a minority, they on social media and they're just a small group, they are so loud. People are also saying my conspiracy is that the only reason anyone still cares about Ghostbusters is because of the 2016 remake that people only dislike because it's woke or whatever. You can't convince me that if that movie never got made, anybody would give a shit about Ghostbusters. It's like they don't know that there are other Ghostbusters movies besides 2016. They're acting like, oh, well, they made one and then they made 2016 and that rejuvenated the franchise. Like, no, that is not the case at all whatsoever. Ghostbusters is a beloved and massive franchise for very good reason. They're also saying, yeah, I was lukewarm on the 2016 movie until I saw Afterlife. Now I really appreciate that they were trying to do something different, even if it ultimately wasn't for me. And similarly, I came out of it knowing it would make little girls want to be Ghostbusters. I remember seeing Ghostbusters when I was a little girl, and I absolutely loved it. I wanted to be a Ghostbuster because of the original cast, not because of a Ghostbusters movie with all females. I don't have to see all females just to go, oh my gosh, I want to be these characters. These characters are fantastic. Like, I love them. I want to buy merchandise. I want to buy posters and shirts. I've loved Ghostbusters my entire life, and Ghostbusters 2016 was so bad. Okay, these people have no idea what they're really saying. It's like they just want to jump on the hate bandwagon, and they just want to hate on Ghostbusters Frozen Empire simply because they see other people trying to hate on Frozen Empire. I feel like Ghostbusters 2016 is responsible for the culture war shit going on now. Yes, it definitely was one of the major factors. It definitely was a major target in the culture war, but the culture war was going on several years even before that. I mean, look at something like Gamergate, right? Gamergate was 2014, and the women that were, part of Gamergate, or, twisted Gamergate into what they say it is today, which was a harassment campaign, were being loud in 2012 and 2013. We've also got journalists complaining about this movie. The Gamer had posted, why is Ghostbusters still getting a sequel? They're saying things like, this just is an old franchise. Nobody cares about it anymore. They even go on to say the trailer has hints of levity, but no jokes. This is an important franchise now, and though Murray, Aykroyd, and Hudson may report for duty, the spirit of their original effects comedy is nowhere to be found. I thought that the trailer was pretty funny. They also say that Afterlife and Frozen Empire are running the same place as The Force Awakens, but that reverent nostalgia is a bizarre fit for the second round of mega sequels to a slacker comedy. They had the audacity of comparing this to Force Awakens, and they're even saying that Force Awakens was better. They say, I like The Force Awakens because it felt like Star Wars, given how closely it mirrors the story, beats out the original film. You could argue it felt too much like Star Wars, but this isn't the same, and this is an endless replica, and it's just not good, which is so infuriating to hear, because The Force Awakens, while yes, it was a decent, start to a potential, trilogy, unfortunately, the rest of the trilogy really fell off of a cliff. It did not do the characters and the story justice. It was a decent starting point, but what came afterwards was terrible. But it's not like The Force Awakens was a 9 out of 10 movie. It was like a 6 out of 10, because it was a decent start, but without the other movies being good, it just ended up being another mediocre movie. And the fact that they have the audacity to say that The Force Awakens is better than Afterlife and probably going to be better than Frozen Empire is just such a bad take. I personally, have a lot of hype and a lot of excitement for this movie, and I know many other people do too. There may be criticisms, right? It hasn't come out yet. Maybe this film will release and we will all be very underwhelmed with it. Who knows? But the initial trailer was not bad, and it's not getting negatively ratioed on something like YouTube. I mean, it's got way more likes than it has dislikes. I thought Afterlife was pretty good. Looking forward to the sequel. It had just the right amount of nostalgia without making it about the originals. I completely agree. Let the kids take over. I like the OG, but they are tired. I don't think that they are going to keep the OG after this movie. I think that this will probably be the finale. A lot of people thought that Afterlife was going to be the finale, but I never really thought it that way, simply because they had to go to New York. They had to, establish the kids being in the Ghostbusters headquarters, right? So they at least needed this movie, but I do not think after this they will keep the OG, which is sad for me, but at the same time I am glad that they are passing the torch to these characters that do still represent, the legacy of the OGs like Spengler. And that's another big reason why these people are mad, is because it is a family unit who is taking over, right? You have Spengler's daughter. You've got her boyfriend slash probably, I'd assume, husband in the next movie. You've got the two kids. Like, it's a family unit, and they, of course, are furious at that. They do not like that. They would rather have all of the 2016 Ghostbuster women probably being lesbians going, yes, we've got to take over Ghostbusters, which, of course, is absurd. But yes, there are people who are moaning, groaning, whining, and complaining on social media about Ghostbusters Frozen Empire simply because they're furious that 2016 isn't getting a sequel. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed it and of course found it important and informative, make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.